Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, this is an example that will never ever repeat again. Back in the day, it was an honor to be invited to serve the Nigerian nation if you were Nigerian and your community celebrated that, and if you were accused of any impropriety during the course of that service, you were shamed out of your community because that community saw it as a bluff on their reputation. So now fast forward to present times, it is still a thing of pride to be invited to serve the Nigerian nation because they can then celebrate you as one of their communities going to serve the Nigerian nation. But if you go and serve the Nigerian nation now and you do not loot whichever department that you have been invited to serve, if you do not loot that department dry, if you don't steal it to the bone like Okorocha and all the rest of them, if you don't do that level of looting, you will be shamed out of that community because you will be deemed as a dunce for having the opportunity to go to a federal department and not loot the place dry. So honesty was celebrated back in the day, and now dishonesty is celebrated now, as we all know. So with that guys, I bring you this. Murtala's son says his father left only 7,000 naira in his account as head of state. So that's the headline. Murtala's son says his father left only 7,000 naira in his account as head of state. So now let's now see now what this narrative is. A former head of state, late General Murtala Mohammed, had only 7,000 naira in his account at the time of his death, his son Wizkid Mohammed has disclosed. It's been reported that Wizkid made the disclosure on Monday, December the 2nd, during the unveiling of the statue of his late father at the entrance of the postgraduate hall of residence at Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State. He said during his tenure in office as the head of state, his father fearlessly fought corruption. Wizkid stated that his father served Nigeria with integrity during his 200 days in office. The son of the late head of state commended President Muhammadu Buhari for his anti-corruption and urged Nigerians to support the president's crusade against corruption. So the guy was doing well up till that point. We all respect what he's saying about his father, and we all celebrate that if that is true. And I imagine that that is broadly true because that guy really did have a reputation for being fastidious and honest. But then now, him now celebrating Buhari is turning another corner. So now what this guy is now effectively saying now is like, look, my father did not do the looting, and we are suffering, so come and put dollars in my own pocket. This is effectively a come and put dollars in my pocket. This paragraph of his commentary describing Malam Buhari as anti-corruption and urging Nigerians to support him. That Malam Buhari is many things. Anti-corruption is not one of them. We've all heard the narrative of all of the lootings that is going on. Remember the $1 billion that they took to say that they wanted to use it for defense. Boko Haram is still raging. That 1 billion is not accounted for. They will tell you that they use it to make deposit for American fighter jets. But then, of course, the Americans are not saying anything. There's no audit trail. Of course, that $1 billion went towards the elections, etc. This is really what the narrative is. Because, of course, the Nigerian defense budget is the largest budget of all the parastatals, all the ministries in Nigeria, and is already facilitated for buying equipment and buying weaponry. So now them having to now take, and they took this $1 billion, by the way, illegally because they needed the assent of the Senate to take it, but they did not seek that assent. They just went directly to the central bank and took it. You remember that Sarake made a lot of hue and cry about this at the time. So that $1 billion now, nobody is really accounting for it, and they'll just say vaguely American fighter jets, and they'll use that to shut it down. But of course, we've not seen a breakdown of what happened to that $1 billion vis-a-vis the money that's already been allocated to the Ministry of Defense for weapon procurement and all that. So where's the marry between those two elements? Nobody knows. But this guy is now telling us that Malam Buhari is anti-corruption. But as I said, this is just his call really to the dollar bags that, look, my father only left $7,000 or 7,000 naira rather, but of course now you can now see that we are suffering. He wasn't smart enough to do the looting, but looting now seems to be the only thing that is paying, because the Babangidas are living large, the Obasanjos are living large, the Gowons are living large, the Jonathans are living large, the Buharis are living large, the Abachas are living large. The only person that is not living large is the Murtala Mohammed name. So you can go and put up monuments, go and build halls of residence in Unife and whatnot, and go and put an airport in Lagos and whatever, and put my father's name next to it. But that is not dollar in our pocket. So dollar in our pocket is what we are after. So we're now calling you anti-corruption so that you can now have our name recalled. We will give you that name association, the integrity of our father, in exchange for dollars in our pocket, because we too want to live like a former head of state should live, which we of course all know what that means. We all know how they live. We all see how they are all showing off on Instagram, etc. Especially the daughter of this present guy. What is her name? That girl that is always on Instagram showing off. So the one married to Ndeme. So they want to live that sort of life too. So he's now describing Malam Buhari as anti-corruption, which of course is the last thing that Malam Buhari is. But we carry on. Conversations in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking of what this guy is saying. I agree with the first half of what he's saying, and I celebrate that. Murtala Mohammed leaving only 7,000 naira in his account. Of course, that's not to say that he doesn't have assets, houses, etc. But at least, according to his son, the amount that was found in his bank account was 7,000 naira only, which is quite commendable, really, because in this day and age, if a president leaves 7 billion naira in his account, his family will cover their eyes in shame, because they are expecting $7 billion, not 7 billion naira. So this really is something to be commended. But him now trying to commend Malam Buhari, of course, is a different narrative. We don't really know what is going on there and why he felt the need to do that. Because if you look at the history of Murtala Mohammed, because that guy only served 200 days in the Nigerian helm before he was tragically killed, his name still recalls and resonates with a lot of people, and a lot of people still use him as the reference point if they are talking about honesty within the Nigerian space, because there's no other president in Nigeria that you can attribute that to other than Murtala Mohammed. You can certainly not say, or even Babangida himself could not call himself an honest man. Certainly not, because I don't think his religion would allow that level of lie. Even Abacha himself, RIP, he would not call himself honest. We all know all the money that is being recovered, so we actually know for fact that he is not honest. Even Buhari cannot call himself honest with a lot of the money that was missing during his petroleum minister days under the Obasanjo regime, and all of the goings on now with all of these monies being borrowed and nothing to show for it, etc., etc. So he cannot describe himself as honest. And good luck Jonathan, if he ever described himself as honest, I think the person next to him would dish him a slap, because he's one of the most corrupt regimes that country has ever had. Dito Obasanjo, no single Nigerian president can describe himself as honest outside of that Murtala Mohammed. And we don't really know how honest this guy is, but we're really saying honest relative to what we have and what we have experienced within the Nigerian space. So with his son now coming to give even further account of how this guy lived his life, it then lends itself more to that attribution of honesty that we've already attributed to this guy. But him now having that second stanza of calling Buhari anti-corruption or fighting corruption is really now him trying to sell his family name. That is really my reading of it. So whatever your reading of it is, come tell me all about it in the comment section. But before you come have this conversation, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you're making of these comments being made by Murtala Mohammed's son in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Carry on with you in the comment section. But here I say peace.